Or if you want to call this.
Good morning.
We're ready to go.
Okay, let's call the
Sir.
regular meeting of the Lewiston Historic Preservation Commission to order. Are there any citizen comments?
No citizen comments called.
Okay, moving on to new business, we need to do the approval of minutes of May 8th, 2025 special meeting. Ready, had a chance to look at those?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, because I don't know the date.
May 8th.
May 8th,
Second.
there it is.
Okay, all those in favor of approval of those minutes, say aye. Aye, any opposed? Okay, and moving on to our next item is the certificate of appropriateness review for 523.5 Main Street in the West End Historic District. An application by Jessica Reidinger with Hops and Vines Wine Bar to install four metal pergolas on the east side of the building adjacent to Brackenberry Square to provide patio shade.
Okay, so in your packet, the application, a description of the work, and then several drawings and photos to show you what we're looking at. So there's kind of a schematic of the four of them in a row. And then kind of an AI layover showing you again what the four of them in a row would look like. They're not a permanent structure. Because of where they are located in Brackenberry Square, Parks and Rec does need them to be movable for when they come in and do maintenance or other things like that. So they will hang out on these blocks and be secured. So then this is kind of schematic, giving you actual measurements of it and a picture of what the unit looks like. And then I went and took photos at Brackenberry so that you can see kind of the space. So this is, I'm on the north side where like the parking area and that porta potty is, looking south at the space. And then from the other side at the space, and then from the actual entrance of Brackenberry, looking at the whole patio area. So that's what you got in front of you. Jessica is here. If you have any questions for her.
And you're just going to basically where you have the fencing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually like 14. Before. So it's not gonna
So
go.
this area right here where the doors kind of come out,
Mhm.
that whole area gets closed. Does it go over the ramp area too?
It go over just the entrance, so,
Like after the door,
yeah,
basically?
right up to there.
Okay.
Just because in the winter, it'll be a little bit safer. Especially if they're going from, you know, the patio. The restaurant and stuff.
That was my question, was if it stays up during the winter as well.
Yeah, so here's a picture. You can see it covered that portion of the ramp. To keep snow or debris or whatever might happen when people are trying to enter the actual building.
Anybody have any other questions or comments before we start our previous ones? Okay, well, I'll just start moving through it. Starting with A, brick, stone, and concrete. Buildings with brick exterior walls may be structural, brick, or simply a brick veneer covering another structural material. So let's say it doesn't apply. B, metals were often used in historical buildings, particularly ornamental elements such as columns and cornices, and utilitarian features such as door and window hardware. C, wood, historical wooden elements included doors, window sashes, sometimes ornament or siding. Let's see, design guidelines for historic building elements. Preservation of character defining historical features of the storefront and main facade, including display windows, bulkheads, entryways, doors, transom lights, upper story windows, cornices, and pattern.
You know, on this one, I just even thought that. What is historical about it, other than the fact it's in the historical district?
Right.
Exactly.
Because there's nothing historical about it.
Yeah, and that D is all about storefronts, really.
Considered secondary facade.
Yeah.
So no.
Is there like there's a section of canopies and such, would that cover that?
Well, let's make sure we're done here with the design guidelines. So, or do we feel that nothing here applies then?
No, it's all storefront.
So E windows, this section addresses windows other than the display windows generally situated at upper levels of a commercial building. No. Both. Doors, this section addresses exterior doors generally situated on the ground level of a commercial building. So. That's both. E roofs, this section addresses commercial building roofs of the 1880s to 1960s period. So. I would say both. Awnings and canopies, cloth and sometimes metal awnings and canopies were common during the 1880s through 1960s period. Many awnings could be rolled, raised, or lowered, and they often sheltered the entire walkway front of the building, while canopies were generally of rigid construction. So let's just read the one here. Maintaining and repairing existing historical canopies or awnings, or replacement with canopies or awnings that retain the appearance of the originals.
No.
No. Chimneys, new. Balconies.
No.
Okay, design guidelines for additions to historic buildings. Converting a historic building, not doing that.
You guys might read through these.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, they're,
just based on, because it's not an addition in like the traditional sense.
no, because it's not a permanent
Because
structure.
it's not an actual like building. But I think you might find items in here that might be applicable. I think it'd be a good idea for you to read through them.
Okay. So number one, construction of additions, including elevator shafts and additional exit stairways on less visible facades of the historical building or set back from the main facade. Such additions should be designed to be subordinate to the original building.
that one makes some sense.
Sure.
So it is applicable.
Well, it's more applicable to the Brackenberry Square than it is to the historical.
Yeah.
district.
Kind
I
of.
mean, it's more in keeping with that than anything else. It's an odd one, to say the least.
It's just something that it doesn't
It's
really
not
have.
it's not blessedly ugly by any means.
No, and I think they need some shade down there, and the truth is, we need some shade on for the fans and stuff too down there.
I think you could say that the addition is designed to be subordinate to the original building.
Mhm.
So I think that.
I think I'd say yes,
So it applies and complies.
I think so.
I think so.
Construction of additions compatible with the historical building in terms of scale, materials, and character, but easily distinguished from the historical portions of the building. Complies.
It complies.
Sure.
Roof additions should be set back to reduce visibility from the street. They're not, it's not a roof addition. So not applicable. Building modifications allow barrier-free disabled access design to be compatible and compatible with and subordinate to the original building. Disabled access at the main entrance is desirable.
This is the one you guys applied when they did the door and the ramp originally.
Okay.
I don't think this is applicable to this.
Anything with this suggestion that would impede that.
No.
No, it actually covers it. So it probably makes it safer. Yeah, it probably improves it a little bit.
So complies or does not
Sure.
apply?
I think it complies.
Complies, okay. Preservation of additions that have achieved historic significance in their own right. That is additions that are generally 50 years or more years of age and retain an acceptable level of integrity.
And have one.
Design guidelines for parking facilities, lighting, signs, and streetscapes.
And.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Oh, I
I-
think so. I think.
I would think that this is the area, right?
The lights? I mean,
As
the lights.
streetscapes,
streetscapes.
streetscapes.
Oh, okay.
Since the goal of rehabilitation is to provide new uses for historic buildings and the setting must be conducive to the selected use, parking facilities, lighting, signage, and generally pleasant streetscapes are of the utmost importance in encouraging people to visit shops and other commercial venues in the historic district. So I would say this applies in my opinion.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, number one, off-street parking located behind party wall buildings or shielded from main streets or walkways by vegetation or compatible walls. So two, locating off-street parking lots in areas with no historical buildings. And A. So simple, low-intensity lighting fixtures casting a warm light similar to daylight, focusing on building entrances, signs, and first door detailing. Historical lighting fixtures should be preserved if possible. Modern fixtures should be compatible with the historic building and its surroundings in terms of size, scale, and color. Will there be lights on that, Jessica?
Just, so we have the lights on the building and then there'll be like string lights, yeah.
No permanent fixtures though.
Oh.
And they're low intensity. So say it complies or doesn't apply.
No, I don't think it applies,
I
but
don't think it does.
Consistent street lighting fixtures throughout the historic district may be means of unifying the area. So any use of signs that are compatible with and do not overwhelm the architecture of the building. Historic building names or historic signs should be retained.
that didn't apply. There we go.
Preservation of historic painted advertisements on exterior building walls. A service structures such as garbage utilities and storage place were not visible from the main streets or walkways. And A. Power and telephone poles should be compatible in terms of size and color with nearby historic buildings. And 10, maintenance of pleasant streetscapes, perhaps with trees or planters, sidewalks, and simple compatible street furniture. Retain a clearly defined pedestrian travel route.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, I think that goes.
Okay.
Applies.
And complies. Historical features such as original street furniture, statues, walls, sidewalk inscriptions, stone curbs, and power poles contribute to the historic character of the district as a whole and should be retained. So that's compliant. Yes.
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 Until about the 1920s, most commercial district buildings were constructed as party wall structures with the main facades aligned along the street. So say in
Mhm.
13, the presence of pleasant public spaces encourages visitors to spend time in downtown areas.
Yes.
Yes.
See, where it exists, historic brick street surfacing should be retained if possible. So that's, yes. And then the last one is design guidelines for new construction within a historic district.
You might find something in here.
The new construction within a historic district may be desirable to fill gaps left when buildings were destroyed by fire or removed for other reasons.
I mean,
Mhm.
It's not a new building.
it's not a new building,
No.
but, there was a building where Brackenberry was, which is why Brackenberry is there now.
Yeah.
I do think number one might apply, adaptive reuse of historical buildings rather than construction of new buildings. Jessica is trying to utilize her building to the highest use possible, which is part of the reason why she's using that back space for hops and vines. And so I think this is an extension of that. So
Okay.
might be something you guys consider.
Okay, then I'll finish reading that paragraph. New buildings in the Lewiston West End historic buildings should be designed to maintain the district's visual continuity, including relatively uniform heights and facade widths, the pattern of storefronts along Main Street, repetition of recessed entryways and vertical upper story windows and freestanding buildings north and south of Main Street.
I don't think it applies because it's the Main Street designation.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure I move that we approve the certificate of appropriateness for 523.5 Main Street.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Yay.
Okay, I'm gonna go party with my coffee. Yes. So don't
Well,
need
thanks for
me-
putting some shade down there, sis.
Yeah. We'll be there as soon as it's up. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
That's just it.
Enjoy your baby. Oh, yeah. Right.
Okay, moving on to old business. Doesn't appear to be any.
Gosh, I got no old business.
No old business.
I just have one
Commissioner
item,
comment?
but maybe it's better under their comments.
Well, it looks like we're there.
And
I did have a chance to contact one of the two churches that I'm working on. And they have about 20 different odd pieces of historical information that they have put together at different times. But Herb Borson and his wife want a little time to pull it all together. But anyway, that finally got around to doing one half of my job.
I found some information from Steve Branting sent me on my church. So I have some of that too. I just gotta put it together. That makes sense.
Anybody else? Okay, council liaison is not with us.
she's on. Cassie, do you have any council liaison comments to make?
No, did you guys have anything you want me to share at the next meeting, this Monday?
I don't think so. Doesn't sound like it.
No updates, okay, sounds good.
Right, staff comments?
Okay, staff comment. So our next regular meeting would be July 3rd.
Second,
So,
I've got written.
Did I put the wrong date on your guys's? Yeah. I did, okay. It's the 3rd. This is the problem. I have to make these twice. So I make them once and then I have to like hand enter them into our civic clerk item. So yeah, typos.
unless we have something that's important, why don't we bail on that?
Yeah, so currently I have no applications. Nobody's come in to talk about anything. Summer is one of those times where things kind of slow down for us a little bit. So, and a lot of times around that 4th of July weekend, people are on vacation and sometimes it's hard to get a quorum. So
I move that we dispense with the July meeting unless there is a certificate of appropriateness that comes in.
Like an emergency.
Appropriate timeframe.
yeah, and we can always schedule a special meeting
Special
if
meeting.
Yeah,
needed. So everybody generally okay with that?
Yeah,
that's totally,
Yes.
Probably the-
especially something not more around the 4th, because who knows?
Right, okay, so we will cancel the July 3rd meeting, and then, if necessary, we would schedule it as a special meeting if we did get a C of A.
Yes.
in.
cool.
So, okay, so that's that, and then the other thing is, I'll take one and pass it around. The city does, like employee appreciation things for us. And we usually have a barbecue. They're inviting all boards and commissions to come to the barbecue also. So this is a flyer for a barbecue. So you all are invited if we can. I will do a notice of possible quorum. It's usually pretty fun. They have it over at the fire station. I think they're just doing hamburgers and hot dogs. But just, it's fun. It's short, go to lunch hour.
Yep.
I'm gonna have a bite and say hi and meet other people and. Work the dirk.
Celebrate the fact that your taxes will have been paid by then.
Right. And I think that's all.
Pay early, they say.
Oh,
Chaos.
So, we did do the proclamation in May. Lisa and Kaylee came and accepted that with me. I think I emailed the photo out to everybody already. And then the week after that, we got a visit from SHPO. They talked a lot about the president's proposed budget. It basically eliminates funding for historic things like SHPO offices. So they're a little trepidatious about how things are gonna move forward. They were supposed to send us some talking points for me to forward to you guys if you wanted to visit with your Congress people or state legislatures regarding not supporting that and encouraging them to keep funding state historic preservation offices. I have not received any of that yet from them. I did receive something from the National Preservation Alliance. I forwarded that to you guys a couple weeks ago. Same idea. They're also looking for support to not cut that funding. So if that's something you guys are passionate about, I would encourage you to reach out to those lawmakers and encourage them not to vote for that bill or that budget, because it does essentially eliminate historic preservation.
It just eliminates it.
It basically just eliminates it, yeah.
What's the date that they vote? Do we have it?
I don't know.
Because I know they were.
Yeah, it's sometime this month. I know that it passed through one side and now it's at the other side.
I know they're voting on a bill right now for budget, so.
Yeah, so
I'm
I think
wondering
that
if
is-
in.
Yeah,
It's
in
the
that
big
one.
beautiful ones, right?
I think it's the big beautiful bill, yes. So I would encourage you to reach out sooner rather than later.
It has implications for the Liberty Theater too.
Yeah, it has implications across all kinds of things for our
Yeah.
system, national park system.
It just is slippery slope.
So we have the Idaho Heritage Trust, I guess it's backwards in the agenda.
You're fine.
The Idaho Heritage Trust has approved the request for placement of the chimney on the museum, so sometime there will be work there. They were very gracious and gave us a 2-year period to do that, so that perhaps we can accumulate funding without trying to hit the reserves, which would be really nice at the moment. Buckeye Temple is in progress. The drawings for the Buckeye Temple building that will be south of the current Capitol, where the Miranda Cabin is at the moment, has been done, and initial fundraising has started for that project to build a building there that will be very similar to the Capitol building in appearance. The artifacts from the college are thousands, and they are each being hand interpreted and cataloged. It'll be a long job. Probably is one of the most extensive Chinese connections in the Northwest, so.
Katie,
Yes, ma'am.
that's, that's something I can bring up at the council meeting as far as that bill goes, and that could be, detrimental to to your guys' committee and those that believe in the historic district. And if they have if they're not aware of it and they have an opinion about it, to please to share that.
It wouldn't so much be detrimental to this commission, but for state historic preservation offices, any sort of federal preservation grants, things with the National Register, National Park Service, all of that. My understanding from what has been shared with me is all of that gets wiped in that bill.
Okay, yeah, I can encourage people to at least go look into
It
it.
would be fine, but it would be very hard for this commission to move forward with projects or paying for anything, given that most of the monies that we use for those things come from federal grants, like through SHPO, through the National Park Service. Organizations like that. It's usually federal money that we're using, so.
Okay, yeah, I can share around those lines, if that helps.
And I can forward you, I think I did forward it to you, but I can forward it to you again. The National Preservation Alliance that we're a member of had sent out some talking points a couple of weeks ago, and I had forwarded those to everybody, so I can forward that again, because that kind of says it better than I have.
That'd be great. That way I have something to refer back to when I'm speaking on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else? Second, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
I.
Have a good 4th of July, everybody.
Yeah, I'll make that back action. Yeah, we're working.
Oh, you bet.
I'm